Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're covering a major global story that's grabbing headlines everywhere. The title, US just did something crucial, exploded in Tehran. It makes Iran's armies useless. Sounds dramatic, right? But what really happened? Let's break it down carefully. For months, tensions have been rising in the Middle East. The US, Iran, and Israel have all been on edge. Iran has been accused of expanding its missile programs and regional influence. The U.S. has repeatedly stated that it wants to weaken Iran's military capabilities to protect its forces and allies in the region. Headlines are calling Iran's military useless, but that's not exactly accurate. Here's what actually happened. U.S. forces, along with some allied operations, carried out strikes near Tehran targeting key military sites. These strikes hit missile facilities, naval bases, and command centers. Some explosions occurred, and infrastructure was damaged. But here's the key point. Claiming Iran's army is useless oversimplifies reality. Iran still has active forces. Ground troops, drone units, and defensive systems remain operational. Think of it like a complex computer network. Damaging parts of it slows things down, but it doesn't make the whole system stop working. Media often uses sensational language to get attention. Words like useless and destroyed are clickbait, not accurate assessments. The truth is, U.S. strikes cause damage, but Iran's military continues to function. Understanding the difference is crucial. So far, we've looked at the strikes near Tehran, their immediate effects, and the current status of Iran's military. Now, let's dive deeper into strategic implications and what could happen next. The U.S. strikes were clearly designed to disrupt Iran's military planning and logistics. Missile storage sites and command centers were targeted, which temporarily reduces Iran's ability to coordinate attacks across multiple fronts. However, Iran's decentralized military structure means regional commanders can continue operations even if some central facilities are destroyed. Think of it this way. The strikes are like cutting a few main roads in a city. Traffic slows, some areas are blocked, but people still find alternative routes. Analysts suggest that these strikes are more about signaling than completely defeating Iran's military. It sends a strong message to both Iran and U.S. allies. We are capable and willing to act. The consequences of these operations are not limited to Iran. Neighboring countries are now on high alert, increasing military readiness across the Middle East. Global oil markets have already reacted, showing price volatility due to fears of disruption in the Strait of Hormuz. International diplomacy is ramping up. Countries like China, Russia, and European nations are calling for restraint and dialogue to avoid a larger conflict. The situation is tense, and every action could trigger retaliation, which makes this phase extremely sensitive. Looking ahead, here's what we might expect. Iran may launch limited retaliatory strikes on U.S. or allied positions in the region. Diplomatic negotiations could intensify behind the scenes, possibly involving the UN or neutral countries. Military escalation is still possible, depending on how each side interprets the other's next move. First, let's be clear. You cannot make an entire country's army useless with a single strike. Iran's military is a complex system: ground, naval, and air forces, defensive networks and missile systems, trained personnel and drones.